Call Halalim Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem Harakakadash or Rakatham. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. My fellow brothers, Adawan Ratazah, we are that number. Alright, Shalom to you. It's a little brother here, Shema Shawan. Today's video, I wanted to go over Capitol Hill, the history of Capitol Hill, and connect it to a place in ancient Rome called Capitoline Hill. Alright, and I'm probably going to do that in a later part, maybe after I'm done with this video. But, you know, I'm just going to focus on Capitol Hill first, bring out the precepts, and then next lesson, I'll go on to how it's connected back to Capitoline Hill, and then I'll leave that as part 2. Alright, so this is the history of Capitol Hill. The U.S. Capitol was built atop Jenkins Hill, now often referred to as Capitol Hill, in 1793. Since then, many additional buildings have been constructed around the site to serve Congress and Supreme Court. In accordance with Residence Act passed by Congress in 1790, President Washington in 1791 selected the area that is now the District of Columbia to serve as the nation's capital. Alright, so we know that they obviously pushed the natives out of that land first, right? And he probably built over those dead bodies, alright, in this hill. Alright, let's see if we can find Washington, D.C. Natives. Let's see that Washington destroyed. Alright, well, these are various tribes that were there that you know, the land belongs to originally. This is ALA.org, American Library Association, Indigenous Tribes of Washington, D.C. Yep. So the District of Columbia shares borders with Maryland and Virginia, connect with lands along the Anacostia and Potomac River. These river systems incurred national parks are where the Piscataway, Pamunkey, the Nintago, or Nanichoke, Mataponi, Chickahominy, Monacan, and the Powhatan coaches thrived. According to the National Service, the region was rich in natural resources and supported the local native people. After the arrival of the Europeans just 40 years later, there were only a quarter of the original occupants. Alright, what do they mean by occupants? 40 years later, there was only a quarter. Oh, I think they mean the land of the original natural resources. There was only a quarter of the original, resources left. Alright, because obviously these devils, cut down trees and like. The indigenous populations were decimated by new diseases and war. I think they also mean the people. Obviously, they also killed the people. Indigenous populations were decimated by new diseases and war. All right, they're not going to tell you that these Edomites brought in those diseases, all right, to of course fulfill Bible prophecy, all right, because the Northern Kingdom had to be taken down here in America, all right, so then Judah can be brought in, and now we can have all 12 tribes in this entire landmass inside America, also known as Babylon the Great, all right, or the daughter of Babylon. Many of the surviving joined other tribes beyond the boundaries of their ancestral lands, moving further inland and encroaching or merging with other tribes. All right, and we're gonna, end it off there. So you had many different, tribes in that area. Yeah. So in accordance with the Residence Act passed by Congress in 1790, President Washington in 1791 selected the area that is now the District of Columbia to serve as the nation's capital. All right. So, I don't think Congress had a building back then. Let's see when it was built, 1793. So Congress, I don't think they had a building back then, but they built Congress within this Capitol Hill building where the Congress meet up, all right, do their rituals and shit. All right, but this Residence Act, as it says, this is a unrighteous decree, all right, framed as iniquity by law. Okay, let's actually go ahead and go get that. That's a good scripture to start off on. I forget where it is. Psalm. Yeah. Um, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? Exactly. So, they kicked and killed those indigenous, Native Americans, those Northern Kingdom tribes that were down here. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to write an act and say, yeah, this is mine now. All right. No, the land is not yours. All right. It would never belong to you. First and foremost, it belongs to the Most High. And secondly, the natives were there first. All right. And you destroyed your brother's landmark because they had names for these places and you took it and you changed it to Capitol Hill. All right. Of course, going back to Capitoline Hill, we're going to go about that and talk about that in the second part. Moving on. French engineer Pierre Charles L'Enfant was charged with planning the new city of Washington. He located the U.S. Capitol at the elevated east end of the National Mall on the brow of what was then called Jenkins Hill. The site was in L'Enfant's ward a pedestal waiting for a monument. As the country grew, so did Capitol Hill, with the construction of buildings housing the Congress, Supreme Court, Library of Congress, and Botanic Garden. We're going to leave it at that. There's nothing more we can really go into, but they had the Library of Congress, the Congress, Supreme Court, and Botanic Garden. All right, so I know you guys remember, Capitol Hill riots. They were assaulting that place while those congressmen were sitting there. Okay, and I don't know what they were doing. I forgot what they were doing in there. I think they were meeting up. It's around like the beginning of every year. Congress meets up to plan out new bills, and that goes back to, of course, ancient Babylon. At the beginning of every year, those kings, they had certain rituals where they would, get together and plan out what they would do for the rest of the year. That's where they get the concept of the new year. All right, so this is Psalm chapter 64, verse 1. All right, this is King David. All right, to the chief musician, a psalm of David. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. All right, who are the workers of iniquity? You Edomites. All right, that's all you guys do is sin. All right, you frameth mischief by a law. All right, the Residence Act, you kicked out, you killed those Native Americans, you changed the landmark. And he said, okay, well, by law, I'm here now. All right, your laws don't mean shit. It doesn't take away from the fact that you killed those people and you took that land and you gave them no provision. You just, you did make little reservations, but you only gave them a little, fraction of what they originally had. That's unrighteous, man. That's not right. You know. Moving on. Who whet their tongues like a sword? What means to sharpen? Who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. All right. This is their propaganda, and of course, this is what they plan here in Congress. They plan. They have like a board. They have like a checklist, and they have all the varying problems America has. Okay, America is having racial unrest, black unrest. Okay, that's the problem. We need to create a solution. Okay, let's see if we can give them some money. All right, or let's see if we can low Vanessa engagement. All right, let's see if we can start getting these rappers to get on board with it and make them get these niggas on board. All right, but the second thing about the Senate houses, right? Continuing on about Senate houses. All right, this is Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this, I saw in the night visions and beheld a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and had great iron teeth, it devoured and brake in pieces, and set the residue with the feet of it, and was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. This is talk about Rome, and those 10 horns are Germanic tribes, Lombards, Burgundians, etc., etc. But when you keep reading on, and it talks about the little horn, all right, this is talking about America. All right, America sprang out of Rome. All right, America is just Rome coming back. All right, so how is this beast diverse from all the other before it? All right, we're gonna go ahead and get that. Yeah, so this is First Maccabees, chapter 8, verse 15. All right, First Maccabees, chapter 8, verse 15. Yeah, what's going on? Man, that's strange. Let's see here. This one works. Yeah, it's really strange. It's not doing what I want. All right. Do you want to play that way? They can play that way. I was working before. All right, so it's talking about the Romans. All right, so this is First Maccabees chapter 8. Mm, yeah, outside 12. With their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept amity, and that they had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, and so much as all that heard of their name were afraid of them. Just talking about Rome. All right, Rome was on the rise. All right, Rome was the next horn to take up the power. All right, to take down the Greek Empire and grow up. All right, okay. No, go back. All right. So what Rome did was that when they came to these varying nations, um, if you allied yourself with them, they would protect you and have peace with you. All right, but if you wanted to fight, then they would utterly conquer you and take away and destroy your identity. But if you worked with them, they would destroy your identity anyway. But at least you'd be alive and you'd be friends with them. All right, verse 13. Also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, whom again they displace. Finally, that they were greatly exalted. Whom they would help a kingdom, whose reign, who again they displace. Finally, that they were greatly exalted. I'm not exactly sure what I'm not gonna act. Like let's go back here, see if we can get a different translation of that. But they maintained their friendship with the allies and those who relied on them for protection. They conquered kings near and far, and everyone who heard of their reputation was afraid of them. They helped some men to become kings, while they disposed others they had become a world power. All right, so they exalted some people, and others they got rid of. All right, you had governors. All right, just like America has governors. This is one of the reasons why America is different. Verse 14. Yet for all this, none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. Exactly as I said. None of these kings they set up these various kings, these provincial governors, right, which they took from the Persian satraps. Okay, these various governors or satraps they set up where they weren't kings, right? They were just senators. They all went back and had to get the go ahead from the Caesar. You know, just like the Caesar, modern day Caesar today would be the government. Well, not be government, would be the president. And of course, behind the president, you got Masons, you know, high level, ridiculously high level, top at the top at the top, and Freemasons, Rothschilds, Oppenheimers, various banking families that are, running the president. All right. Furthermore, how this beast is diverse. Verse 15 is the point. Moreover, how they made for themselves a senate house wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting a way for the people to the end that they might be well ordered. Okay? This is pretty much the point. Alright, this is talking about the Romans. They made themselves a senate house where 320 men sat in council daily, consulting a way for the people to the end that they might be well ordered. Alright, these guys, alright, as I said before, this is the housing of Congress in here. Alright, and the Congress meets up at the beginning of every year, of course, to plan out new bills and new legislation and how to keep the people in order, okay, so they can continue to control them and push their wicked, transhumanist agendas. Okay, that's all I wanted on that. Yeah. So as I said before, that's just proof. Right here, they've proven with their own words. They are Rome coming back. All right, and how are they diverse? Are they diverse because they got a Congress building? This whole Capitol building is where the Congress is. Library of Congress, which I think that's where they hold the bills and whatever, and various laws, and yeah, I think this is different from the White House. This is just yeah, this is a different building. U.S. Capitol building. Yeah, this is not the White House. This is a completely different building. If you it does kind of look like the White House. I wouldn't blame you if you were a little bit thrown off by that. All right, so this is Revelation chapter 17. I'm gonna skip down to the point. Verse 8: The beast that thou sawest was and is not, shall ascend to the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written on the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. All right, so the beast that was and is not and shall ascend to the bottomless pit. So what was the beast? The beast was Rome. All right, Rome. So it was Rome, right? But it's not Rome. Okay, so it was Rome, but it's not Rome. Okay, it shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Okay, the bottomless pit is talking about Europe. All right, you can get that information out of that with Revelation chapter 9. When it talks about the king of the bottomless pit, that's going into what's his name? I think Bismarck in World War One. Okay, and go into perdition. Okay, this country, America, is going to go into perdition, destruction. It's going to be destroyed by ICBM nuclear missiles, thermonuclear missiles, Poseidon, Russian Poseidon thermonuclear missiles, various antimatter technologies, which I personally believe they have that out there already. Okay, because even China built a large hadron collider as well. All right, so this country is going to be destroyed, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book are left from the foundation of the world. All right, let's see here what that word wonder is. Thaumazo, marvel, wonder, have an admiration, marvel, wonder at, marvel. All right, these heathen nations will marvel at the beast, like, wow, this country's great. You got these Elamites, Moabites, Ammonites, Japanese, Chinese, Indians, East Indians, etc., looking at this country like, wow, this country's great. I gotta get down here, man. When they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. All right, the beast was Rome, okay, but it's not Rome, okay, because Rome is somewhere else, but it yet is, okay, because this is America is Rome in a reincarnation. All right, so it was Rome in the past. Those Edomites, the same Edomites that run our country today, ran Rome in the past. All right, so they were Rome. All right, but they're not Rome today. All right, we're not, exactly ancient Rome, wearing togas and shit, but we yet is, okay, because we still follow Roman customs. All right, once again, this Capitol Hill goes back to Capitoline Hill. All right, this entire building has Roman elements into it, mixed into it. All right. And just going back into it real quick, I just want to say one last point. What happened to the original Roman Empire? Why it says the beast that was? All right, they were Rome, all right, but Rome got taken down. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. I'm gonna go straight to the point. I saw one of his heads as it were. I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. I marvel at the beast. This is talking about the Roman Empire. All right, its head being wounded was when it was taken down in 193 AD by Septimius Severus. Okay, and it was already on the decline anyway. You had those 5 good rulers, those 5 good kings. Those were all Israelites. All right, but eventually we started to take over more and more territory. I believe we took over the west first. Okay, and then we took over the east. Okay, and we lost our rulership when that wound was healed in 1453. And around that time period was when we started to get our asses kicked. King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella kicked out the Israelites out of Granada. All right, and soon after they got the slave trade going. All right, to hunt down the rest of the Moors. All right, and yes, we were those Moors. Okay, because Tom Molyneux, all right, the Moor Negro. All right, they called him the Moor, Tom Molyneux. I don't know what the hell is white boy wearing. All right, but the Moor, Boxer, Tom Molyneux, the Moor. All right, that's what they call them. It's interchangeable. And once again, when you see those when you see those monkeys, and turban. All right, this is going back to Jake. This is how we used to dress. Um, back when we were in Europe. All right, so you see here, they're making fun of us. They call us monkeys. All right, but they know that we're the Moors. All right, that's why they still to this day call us monkeys. Okay, this is making fun of us. All right, is obviously a racist image. All right, you see, trying to make us a fucking court jester and shit. Look at this one, and this one's obvious. All right, they're making fun of Jake. They're making fun of us. All right, moving on. That's all I pretty much wanted on that. All right, so once again, America. This is further proof America is Rome and the reincarnation coming back. Much more I could bring out. As an ending point, I wanted to bring out how we talked about L'Enfance, how he built this area, right? But they didn't mention, he did it on purpose. French engineer Charles L'Enfant. They didn't mention how L'Enfant worked with Benjamin Banneker. Benjamin Banneker was a part of that team. Okay, this is a genius Israelite, by the way, man. And his time, he was brilliant. You know, they claim he's self-taught, but personally, I think he had some sort of teacher, possibly a more Israelite teacher, all right, that knew he was an Israelite and taught him everything that he knew. That's just my personal theory. Benjamin Banneker was already a practiced mathematician and astronomer when he was approached in February 1791 by his friend Andrew Ellicott to survey the land staked out for the new United States Capitol. A free black who grew up in Maryland as a farmer, Banneker was more than a laborer. Though his formal education ended at an early age, he continued to study science and physics and would later write a series of best-selling almanacs. He designed and built a striking clock at age 22 that kept perfect time for 40 years until it was destroyed in a fire. All right, which I'm going to go into later on, but I was watching that movie Hidden Colors, and they say that Big Ben, yeah, Big Ben is named after it's not. They say Big Ben was named after Benjamin Banneker. Did the Big Ben get its name from Benjamin Banneker? One of the things that Benjamin Banneker was known during his life was his construction of a clock. Well, of course, he got to hide the information behind the goddamn fucking thing, man. Yeah, so they say it's up to debate, but they say that Big Ben is named after Benjamin Banneker. I gotta look into it. I'm not entirely sure, but Benjamin Banneker was known for making a clock that kept perfect time. Okay, Israelite. All right, special man. All right. Yeah, I'll read this point as well. Banneker's principal role in surveying the new capital was to make astronomical observations for which the survey starting point could be determined. He also used his calculations to establish the boundary points for the district. Banneker was well suited for this role, having already accurately predicted solar and lunar eclipses, sunrises, and sunsets, but his contributions to the creation of the nation's capital would go beyond what anyone expected. Okay, so Banner, and by the way, Boundary Stones, if I didn't say it already, boundarystones.weta.org are Benjamin Banneker's capital contributions. Okay. Yeah. And as I said before, he pretty much planned it, the boundary points for the district, the boundaries, and he made astronomical observations for which the survey starting point could be determined. All right, so you pretty much use astronomy to plan out when they should start serving, where they should start building. Okay, so he was already very knowledgeable in mathematics, astronomy, physics, science, you know. And let's see here. Yeah, so I'll go here and read here to this part in a minute. Um, Actually, I'll get a scripture. I was uh I was thinking in my house, like, should I get a scripture? Or should I just keep reading on? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get scripture. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the earth. Now, this is first and foremost talking about when we're in our right mind. All right. When we know that we're Israelites, when we know that, you know, what the prophecy is, the main prophecies. All right. When we're reading, when we're praying, when we're fasting, when we're in our right mind. All right. When the Most High has opened up our minds to this truth, to this knowledge, okay, then we are a special people, okay, and we are above all people that are upon the face of the earth. But even when our people are not in our right mind, we're still special, all right, because the Most High still chose us. If you take a leopard and you put the leopard um, out of the jungle and you put him in the desert, is it not still a leopard? All right, how much more us? Okay, even though our people may not be in our right mind, we're still a special people unto the Lord, even though we have to be chastised because we are committing sin and iniquity. Okay, but furthermore, go to Benjamin Banneker. He's a special man. He was able to make these boundaries and connect it back to astronomy. All right, and you know, to use to start the survey. And I believe with surveys they like analyze the land and see, I want to build this here. They probably set it up to have the building face a certain direction, to have the sun come over it or some shit. I'm not entirely too knowledgeable about astronomy, and I don't want to read too deep into this. So but let's get down a little bit. Even before the location was settled for a new federal capital called for even before the location was settled for a new federal capital called for in the Constitution, Pierre Laurent Chalfant wrote George Washington with a request to be commissioned to design the federal city. He was granted his wish when Congress passed the Residence Act of 1790, which set the permanent site for the capital on the Potomac River, which again they stole from those Native Americans, various Native American tribes that were already there. All right, Northern Kingdom tribes, okay, because they are not American, okay. They're not American. All right. The Northern Kingdom first. The Israelites first. All right. They're just called Americans because they're currently being enslaved and ran by this nation, but they are the Israelites. Okay. You got the Northern Kingdom. Okay. Moving on. Yeah. Pierre Chalfant wrote George Washington with a request to be commissioned to design the federal city. Was granted his wish when Congress passed the Residence Act of 1790, which set the permanent site for the capital on the Potomac River. Yeah, moving on. L'Enfant, who served under Washington during the Revolution, the American Revolution against the British. Okay. I believe France was involved too. I think they were on the side of the Americans. I'm not exactly sure. Look back into that war. So L'Enfant, who served under Washington during the Revolution and was a successful civil engineer after the war, developed a grand design for the capital. The entire city was built around the idea that every citizen was equally important, wrote L'Enfant biographer Scott Berg. The mall was designed as open to all comers. Fucking bullshit. I mean, every white citizen was equally important. All right, because you're still kicking Jake's ass this time period. Piece of shit. All right. L'Enfant's plans were well received. Well, it was well deceived because he is a fucking deceiver. Damn devil. L'Enfant's plans were well received, but he proved to be extremely difficult to work with, arguing incessantly with the commissioners in charge of the capital project. He frequently stepped beyond his mandate in budgetary and design issues, and Washington begrudgingly relieved him in 1792. When L'Enfant left the project, he took all the designs with him, leaving the project in disarray. Unsure of how to proceed, Ellicott and the other planners feared that they might have to start from scratch. According to writer Gaius Chamberlain, Banneker surprised them when he asserted that he could reproduce the plans from memory and in 2 days did exactly as promised. All right, and furthermore, they just kind of talk about, oh, it's a myth. No. I think Benjamin Banneker actually did this. I believe in my mind that he actually had the mental ability and actually had a photographic memory to be able to do this. I've heard Elder Apostle Tar even say himself that he has a photographic memory. All right, so it's very possible the Most High, could have opened certain parts of his mind, you know, to be able to do this. I remember this is back then. This is back in the 1790s. All right, so I believe Banneker had his own land. You know, he's eating better food. Okay, he didn't have all those chemicals in the air. The air was better. All right, you didn't have all these various chemicals from these cars all up in the atmosphere, fucking up everyone. Chemtrails weren't around like that back then. There was no planes. All right, chemtrails weren't around like that at all. All right, there's no planes. So how could there be chemtrails with no planes? You know, so we were smarter back then. We had more mental ability. Okay, when you go into those Moors, the Moors, you think America was impressive. Look at those Moorish cities. All right, which is personally where I believe Benjamin Banneker, well, both of them really, they got the idea for this capital. You know, because that Roman architecture, remember, first and foremost, it started with Japheth. All right, and the Romans just picked it up and stole it from them. Then the Moors came in and they kind of advanced it. All right, so we're gonna look up something real quick. See here, Moorish city architecture. Let's see here. We got castles. We know they built castles. Let me not look up Moorish. Should we look up Britain city architecture 1100s? Right, very similar. You see, if this was actually built in the 1100s, very beautiful. See, this is Moorish. This is Moorish architecture. All right, they took that Roman Japhetic way of building and they advanced it. All right, once again, all right, Moorish Israelites ruled. I don't know about this one, but actually I do know about this one. This one looks like during 1500s, not 1500s, 1100s or so, 11th, 12th century. Okay, especially this one. All right, Jake built this. All right, this last scripture I'm gonna get. This is Matthew chapter 82 verse 6. I've said, "You're gods, but all of you are children of the Most High. We should die like men and fall like one of the princes." Why do we die like men? All right, when we have the curses upon us. All right, Salakia, starting first and foremost, well, Deuteronomy chapter 28. I will make you to flee 7 ways from before them. Y'all should come up against them 1 way and flee 7 ways. So when we're not keeping the commandments, when we're not in our right mind, okay, they'll kick our ass in having us fleeing from them. Okay, that's how we die like one of the princes. But yes, we are all gods. All right, we're the sons of the Most High. We are the sons of God talked about in Genesis chapter 6. All right, we are those giants. Okay, a giant doesn't always mean like actual giants. It could also mean that they're just powerful. There's just big men in stature. All right. Yeah, that's all I wanted to bring out here. These damn devils, they always have to downplay, Jake and Jake's genius mind. Because Jake, some of these Jakes out here that we're geniuses, Even Jake, they say, oh, he doesn't want to do biology, Jake, whatever Jake does, man, he's always the best. All right, he doesn't get into science. Let's say Jake don't get into science, he gets into fighting. He becomes the best at fighting. He be gotten some rhythm. He be bouncing up and down and give you jab jab strike. You know what I'm saying? Popping niggas' heads off. All right, you put him into a stock market, man. Look at those Jakes that come out of prison and they get jobs in the stock market or working in or investing. All right, they go to college while they're behind prison, and then they come out and they get a job and they become the best at it. Moving on. Yeah, I'm not gonna look for it, but pretty much they say, oh, it's not real, or they say, oh, the guy died before the project was finished. Personally, I believe that Benjamin Banneker had the mind to do it, to memorize little outlines of the city by heart. All right, this is just Benjamin Banneker's from the end. It's off of this, just various accomplishment clock. Benjamin Banneker's family was introduced to a man named Joseph Levi sometime in the 1750s. This man had a watch with him. Benjamin was so fascinated with it that he borrowed it from Mr. Levi and started exploring it. All right, And Joseph Levi is probably a fucking Jew, a fake Jew. All right. Once again, he wasn't in his right mind. We were dead. We were spiritually dead during this time period. Once he figured out how it worked, he wanted to build something like that, but bigger. Realizing he had lacked sufficient knowledge, Benjamin searched to where he found solutions for many of his problems. Books. He borrowed some books in geometry to learn about shapes, and borrowed Sir Newton's Principia to better understanding the laws of motion. Armed with these, he set about building a clock made of hand-carved wood. It took him around 2 years, but he finally finished building America's first clock in 1753 at the age of 22. It was entirely made out of wood. It was made entirely out of wood. It is said that for around 3 decades the clock kept perfect time. Exactly. You know, once again, I personally believe that Benjamin Banneker had some sort of Moorish uh, teachers, because the Moors were already doing this. They were already experimenting with alchemy, making things out of wood, cog wheels. Remember, we built these cities. We had these cities built. We had the plans for these cities, these churches, these mega cathedrals. All right, we built these. Okay, all these buildings. All right, but once again, as I said, they always want to downplay Jake helped build this, and obviously they left them out the article. They did that shit on fucking purpose. All right, this is the architect of the Capitol. Okay, they always want to make it seem like it was a fucking Edomite. Now the Edomite may have built some things, right, or laid out the plans, right, but his plans and his ideas go all the way back to those Israelites, all right, that are building these places, which I'm not sure is this even in Europe. It is in Europe. All right, the Moors built this too. I gotta check when it was built, but more than likely they built that too. Okay, they built the entire city. Look at this. Israelites. All right, that's all I got for today's video. I'll probably make the video either today or tomorrow, going into the connection to Capitoline Hill, how it goes into the founding of Rome, the story of two Japhetic kings who founded Rome, who started the Roman Empire, all right, which I'm pretty sure they were Etruscans in culture, and they started the Roman city, and connected back to an ancient legend of the Aeneid. All right, I want to say call halalim Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Bashim Harakakadash Ubrakatam. All right, to be continued. Shalom.